The thing about places like Walmart is that they never truly sleep. Even when the lights dim slightly, even when the aisles grow quiet, even when the last normal customer walks out the sliding doors, something always stays behind. And sometimes, it's not supposed to be there. Her name was Ariba. She was 21 years old, working night shifts at a Walmart just outside a quiet town. The kind of place where nothing exciting ever happened. The kind of place where people left their doors unlocked, where everyone knew each other, where danger felt like something that only existed on TV. But that illusion doesn't survive the night shift. Because nights change everything. Ariba didn't hate her job. In fact, she liked the silence. There was something calming about walking through long, empty aisles, folding clothes, stacking shelves, hearing nothing but the faint hum of refrigerators and the distant buzz of fluorescent lights. No crowds, no noise, no pressure, just her and the store. Her shift started late in the evening and stretched deep into the early hours of the morning. By midnight, the place would feel less like a store and more like a maze, a quiet, endless maze. That night started like any other. Nothing unusual, nothing memorable, at least not at first. It was sometime late in the evening when she first noticed him. A man, standing in the clothing section. He wasn't doing anything particularly strange, just browsing through jeans. Calm, quiet, ordinary. The kind of person you'd forget seconds after seeing them. And that's exactly what she did. She helped him briefly. He asked about sizes. She pointed him toward the rack. He nodded politely. A completely normal interaction. Or at least, it should have been. Hours passed. The store slowly emptied. The air grew heavier, quieter still. Ariba moved from one section to another, restocking items, pushing carts, checking inventory. Routine. Repetitive. Safe. Until she saw him again. This time, something felt different. He wasn't shopping. He wasn't holding anything. He was just there, standing in the next aisle over, watching. It wasn't obvious at first. Just a feeling. You know that feeling. When someone's eyes are on you. When your body notices something before your mind does. That's what it was. She glanced over casually. And there he was. The same man. Perfectly still. His face partially hidden by the shelves. But his eyes locked onto her. The moment their eyes met, he turned away. Too quickly. Too deliberately. Like a child pretending not to get caught. Ariba frowned. Something about it didn't sit right. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe he was just another late-night customer. Maybe she was overthinking. But still, a thought crept into her mind. Why is he still here? She had seen him hours ago. And yet, he had nothing in his hands. No cart. No basket. No items. Nothing. That's when the unease began. Slow. Subtle. Like a shadow growing longer without you noticing. She decided not to think too much about it. Instead, she moved to a different section. The appliance aisle. Brighter lights, more open space. Safer, at least it felt that way. She kept working. Boxes, shelves, inventory. But her mind wasn't fully there anymore. A part of her stayed alert. Listening. Watching. Waiting. Then, she saw him again. Not directly. Not fully. Just a glimpse. Between the gaps of shelves. A figure. Still. Silent. Watching her from the next aisle. Her heart skipped. Not a full panic. Not yet. Just enough to make her stop moving. Slowly, she pushed her cart forward, turning the corner of the aisle, expecting to catch him there. But he was gone. No footsteps. No sound. Nothing. Just empty space. That's when fear stopped being a possibility and started becoming real. Ariba didn't like the feeling. Not at all. So she did what most people would do. She left. Not the store, not yet. Just the area. She headed toward the back room. Somewhere employees gathered. Somewhere safer. Or at least, that's what she thought. She sat there for a while, scrolling her phone, trying to calm herself down, convincing herself it was nothing, that she was imagining things, that the man was just another weird customer. But deep down, she knew this wasn't normal. Eventually, she forced herself to go back to work, because that's what you do. You ignore fear. You push through. You pretend everything is okay. She chose a different section this time. Groceries, cold storage, the dairy area. It was louder there. The constant hum of refrigeration units filled the air. A steady, mechanical noise that drowned out everything else. She stepped inside. The cold hit her immediately. Sharp, uncomfortable, but also strangely isolating. She started working, checking dates, stacking milk crates, organizing shelves, trying to stay focused, trying not to think about him. Then, the door opened. Loud, sudden, violent. Ariba froze. Her hand stopped mid-motion. Her breath caught. Slowly, she turned her head. And there he was, standing in the doorway. The same man. But this time, he wasn't pretending. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't browsing. He was looking directly at her. No expression. No emotion. Just staring. Something inside her snapped. Not panic. Not yet. Instinct. She moved quickly. Silently. Ducked behind stacked boxes. Pull something in front of her. Hide. Her heart was pounding now. Loud enough that she was sure he could hear it. She didn't move. Didn't breathe. Didn't make a sound. Seconds passed. Then minutes. She waited, hopping, praying that he would leave. Finally, she lifted her head slightly, just enough to see. And that's when she screamed, because he wasn't across the room. He wasn't searching. He wasn't gone. He was right there, standing inches away, looking directly down at her, smiling. Not a normal smile. Not friendly. Not human. The kind of smile that doesn't belong on a face. Before she could react, he moved, vast, reaching toward her. And in that moment, fear turned into action. She shoved the nearest box toward him. Hard. It hit his legs. Something shattered. The sound echoed loudly in the cold room. He stumbled, just for a second, but that was enough. She ran. No hesitation. No looking back. Just running. Out of the dairy section. Through the aisles. Past empty shelves. Into the open store. Her breath was ragged. Her heart racing. Her mind screaming. She didn't stop until she found someone, another worker. And when she finally did, she grabbed him, desperate, terrified, trying to explain what just happened. But before she could finish, a voice came from behind. Calm, controlled, familiar. I think there's been a misunderstanding. She turned slowly, and there he was, the man, standing there, as if nothing had happened. Clean, composed, almost normal. He smiled again, but this time, it was different. Polished, practiced, fake. And then he said something that made everything even worse. I'm with corporate. The words hung in the air. Heavy, unbelievable, and yet, somehow, convincing enough to create doubt. Was she wrong? Was she overreacting? Was this all just a misunderstanding? But one question remained, burning in her mind. If he was really from corporate, then why was he smiling like that? In the dark, when he thought no one could see him. And more importantly, why did it feel like he hadn't been shopping at all, but hunting? Mini cliffhanger end asterisk. That night didn't end with answers. It only raised a more terrifying question. Because when they checked the cameras the next day, they discovered something that would change everything Ariba thought she saw, and prove she was never imagining it. There's something deeply unsettling about security cameras. They don't blink. They don't sleep. They don't forget. They see everything. Or at least, they're supposed to. The morning after the incident, Ariba barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw him. That smile, that unnatural stillness, the way he appeared closer than he should have been. It replayed again and again, like her mind was trying to solve something it didn't understand. She almost didn't go back to work. Almost, but fear has a strange way of trapping you. It convinces you to stay, but also forces you to face it. So she returned, not because she felt safe, but because she needed answers. The store looked completely different in daylight. Bright, busy, alive. Customers moving through aisles. Kids running around. Employees laughing, chatting like nothing had ever happened. It felt normal. Too normal. Ariba stood near the front registers, waiting. Her fingers fidgeting. Her eyes scanning every face that walked through the doors. Part of her expected to see him again. Standing there, watching, but he wasn't there. Not in the open, at least. Her manager called her into the office. A small, windowless room tucked behind the main floor. Cold, quiet. Serious. Inside, two other people were already there. One was a senior supervisor. The other, a man she didn't recognize. Older, calm, observing. Ariba, her manager, began softly. We reviewed the footage. Her stomach tightened. This was it. Proof. Validation. Or something worse. They turned the monitor toward her. Grainy black and white footage filled the screen. A timestamp blinked in the corner. Late night. Her shift. Tell us when you first noticed him, the supervisor said. The video rolled. There she was, moving through the clothing section, folding jeans, working normally. And then, he appeared. The man, standing near the racks, exactly how she remembered. Still, quiet, watching. Ariba leaned closer, her breath slowing, her eyes narrowing. Right there, she whispered. That's him. The room stayed silent. The footage continued. Minutes passed. Then more. The man didn't move. Not much anyway. Just small shifts. Tiny adjustments. But overall, he stayed in the same area. Wait, Ariba said, confused. I left that section. I went to appliances after this. The supervisor nodded. Keep watching. The footage switched angles, now showing the appliance aisle. And there she was again. Stocking shelves. Moving boxes. Working. Ariba felt a chill crawl up her spine, because she already knew what was coming. Or at least, she thought she did. The camera zoomed slightly, enhancing the next aisle over. And there he was again. The same man. Standing. Watching her. But something was wrong. Something impossible. Ariba's voice trembled. That's not right. The supervisor looked at her. What do you mean? She pointed at the screen. He was in clothing the whole time. The room fell silent again. Because she was right. They rewound the footage. Split the screen. 2 camera angles. 2 different sections. Same timestamp. And in both, he was there. In 2 places. At the same time. Ariba's heart dropped. No, she whispered. That's not possible. But it was right there. Clear as day. Or night. 2 identical figures. Same clothes. Same posture. Same face. Watching her. From different parts of the store. At the same time. The older man in the room finally spoke. Calm, analytical. Let's continue. The footage rolled forward. Ariba moved to the back. Toward the dairy section. The camera angle switched again. Now showing the employee-only area. She entered the cooler. Seconds later, the door opened, and he walked in, just like she described. But this time, they slowed it down, frame by frame. The man stepped inside, paused, looked around. Then, he smiled, even on camera, even in low resolution. That smile looked wrong. Not natural. Not human. Ariba felt her hands go cold. Pause it, she said. They did. She leaned forward. Closer. Closer. And that's when she noticed it. Something no one else had pointed out. Zoom in on his face. The supervisor hesitated, then complied. The image sharpened slightly. And that's when it became clear. His eyes, they weren't looking at the room. They were looking directly at the camera. At them. Ariba stepped back instinctively. That's not, she struggled to speak. That's not possible. Because the camera was hidden. Mounted high. Barely noticeable. No normal person would know exactly where to look. Unless they weren't normal. The room felt colder now. Heavier. Like something unseen had entered with them. The footage continued. This was the part Ariba feared the most. Her hiding. His approach. The moment everything changed. The camera angle shifted again. Inside the cooler. But something was off. Very off. The screen flickered. Static. Distortion. Then, nothing. The footage cut out. The timestamp kept running. But the image was gone. Just static. For several minutes. Right during the most important part. Ariba stared at the screen. Speechless. That's when he found me, she whispered. The supervisor nodded slowly. We know. But she swallowed hard. Where is he? No one answered. Because when the footage came back, only Ariba was there. Running, terrified, alone. No man, no figure, no trace. Just her, running from something that the cameras couldn't see. The room sat in silence, heavy, uncomfortable. Finally, Ariba spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. So what does that mean? The older man leaned forward, folding his hands, thinking carefully. It means, he said slowly, either someone tampered with the footage. He paused. Lord. He didn't finish the sentence, because he didn't need to. Ariba already understood. There was only one other possibility, and it was far worse, because if the cameras didn't capture him, then what did she really see? And more importantly, what was actually there? Mini cliffhanger end asterisk. That should have been the end of it. A glitch, a malfunction, a strange but explainable incident. But 3 nights later, Ariba received a call from someone who claimed they had seen the same man, not in the store, but outside, waiting. And this time, he wasn't alone. Fear doesn't always end when the moment is over. Sometimes, it follows you, quietly, patiently, like something waiting for the right time to come back. 3 nights passed after the footage incident. 3 long, restless nights. Ariba tried to convince herself it was over, that whatever happened stayed inside that store, inside those walls, inside those cameras. But deep down, she knew something wasn't right, because fear like that doesn't just disappear. She stopped taking night shifts. Her manager didn't argue, didn't question, didn't push, which in itself felt strange, almost like they didn't want her there at night anymore. Her new shifts were during the day. Bright hours, crowded aisles, safe, or at least, that's what it was supposed to feel like. But safety is an illusion, and illusions don't last. It was her 3rd day working mornings when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. Almost. Hello. There was silence. For a moment, just faint breathing. Then a voice. Low. Uneasy. You work at Walmart, right? Ariba frowned. Who is this? A pause. Then, I need to talk to you about something. Her grip tightened around the phone. About what? Another pause. Longer this time. Like the person on the other end was deciding something. About the man. Her heart stopped. Every instinct told her to hang up, to ignore it, to walk away. But curiosity is stronger than fear. What man, she asked, even though she already knew. The one who was watching you. Silence. Ariba didn't speak, didn't breathe. How do you know that? She whispered. The voice responded immediately. Too quickly. Because he was watching me too. A cold wave rushed through her body. Who are you? She asked again. My name is Danish. The name meant nothing to her. I was there that night, he continued. I didn't say anything because I wasn't sure what I saw. Ariba's mind raced. There were barely any customers. I wasn't a customer, he interrupted. I worked nearby. I came in late just to grab something quick. Something about his voice felt real, Not dramatic, not exaggerated, just shaken. I saw him, Danish said, in the electronics section first. Ariba closed her eyes. Was he alone? She asked. Another pause. No. Her eyes snapped open. There were two of them. The words hit harder than anything she had heard so far. Two, she repeated. Yeah, Danish said slowly. They looked exactly the same. Ariba's chest tightened. Like twins, she asked. No, he replied. Not like twins. Another pause. Like copies. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Ariba felt her throat go dry. What do you mean, copies? I mean, Danish hesitated. They moved the same way. They stood the same way. They even turned their heads at the same time. Her mind flashed back to the footage. Two figures. Same time. Same posture. I thought I was seeing things, he continued. I left pretty quickly after that. Ariba swallowed hard. Why are you calling me now? Because that was the real question. Danish didn't answer immediately. Instead, he asked something else. Do you live alone? Her stomach dropped. Why? She asked sharply. Another pause. Longer than before. Because I saw him again. Everything inside her froze. Where? She whispered. Outside your store. Her heart pounded. When? Last night. Ariba felt the world tilt slightly. I was driving past, Danish said. The store was closed, parking lot empty. His voice grew quieter. But he was standing there. Ariba's fingers trembled. Doing what? Nothing. The worst possible answer. Just standing. Ariba's breathing became shallow. Was he alone? Danish hesitated. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Because, he said slowly. I only saw one at first. Her heart sank. But then, Ariba held her breath. I looked in my rearview mirror. Silence. And there were two. The air felt suffocating. They weren't standing anymore, he continued. They were closer. Ariba's pulse raced. Closer how? They had moved. But I didn't see them move. Ariba felt a chill crawl up her spine. They were just suddenly closer. That same pattern. Appearing. Disappearing. Reappearing. Not moving like normal people. Like something. Skipping steps. Then what happened? She asked. I drove, Danish said immediately. Fast. Did they follow you? No. Ariba let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. But her chest tightened again. When I got home. No, she whispered. Danish's voice dropped to almost nothing. I saw someone standing across the street. Ariba's heart stopped. In the dark, he continued. Just watching my house. Silence. And I swear. His voice shook now. It was him. Ariba felt the world closing in around her. Or one of them. That word again. Them. Not him. Them. Why are you telling me this? She asked, her voice barely stable. Because, Danish said. You're the only other person I know who's seen them. A pause. And I don't think it's a coincidence. Ariba didn't respond. She couldn't. Because deep down, she was starting to realize something. This wasn't random. This wasn't just a creepy man. This was something else. Something that chose people, watched them, followed them, waited for them. Danish, she said slowly. Are you sure they didn't follow you? There was silence on the other end. Too much silence. Danish. Then, a whisper. I think. Her heart pounded. I think one of them did. Ariba's blood ran cold. How do you know? She asked. Another pause. Because what he said next changed everything. I'm looking at him right now. Silence. Absolute silence. Ariba couldn't breathe. Where are you? She asked desperately. At home. Her grip tightened around the phone. Where is he? Another whisper. Outside my window. Ariba felt her heart slam against her chest. Danish, call the police. I can't. Why not? Because his voice cracked. He's smiling. The same smile. Not human. Not right. The kind that doesn't belong. And then, the line went dead. Mini cliffhanger end asterisk. Ariba tried calling back. Again. And again. And again. No answer. Later that night, she would learn something terrifying. Because when the police arrived at Danish's house, they found the front door open. Lights on. Phone on the floor. But Danish was gone. And on the street outside, there were no footprints. Except one. Standing still. Right outside his window. Some fears disappear when the sun rises. Others become clearer. The night Danish vanished, Ariba didn't sleep. Not even for a second. Every shadow in her room felt alive. Every faint sound felt intentional. Her mind kept replaying his last words. I'm looking at him right now. By morning, fear had turned into something else. Not panic. Not confusion. Something colder. Determination. Because this wasn't random anymore. This wasn't just her. And it definitely wasn't just one man. There was a pattern. And patterns can be understood. Ariba sat at her desk, her laptop open. The glow of the screen reflecting in her tired eyes. She started searching. At first, nothing. Just the usual. Walmart creepy encounters. Night shift horror stories. Strange people sightings. But then, she changed her approach. She searched for details. The specifics. Man standing still for hours. Person appearing in two places at once. Security camera glitch figure. Smiling stranger at night. And that's when things started to appear. Not articles. Not news reports. Forum posts. Old ones. Buried deep. Years old. From different places. Different people. Different times. But all describing the same thing. A man. Always a man. Standing still. Watching. Smiling. And sometimes not alone. Ariba leaned closer to the screen. Her heart beat steady but heavy. One post stood out. I think something is following me from Walmart, asterisk. Posted 5 years ago. She clicked it. The story was long. Messy. Written like someone in panic. A man described working late shifts. Seeing someone watching him from across the store. At first, he thought it was a customer. Then he noticed something strange. The guy never picked anything up, just stood there. Ariba's stomach tightened. The post continued. I saw him in one aisle, then another, but I never saw him walk between them. Her fingers froze over the keyboard. And then, the worst part was when I saw two of them. Ariba leaned back slowly. Her room suddenly felt smaller. The post ended abruptly. No updates. No replies. Just silence. She checked the user's profile. Inactive. For years. Ariba moved on. Another post. Different country. Different store. Same description. They don't move normally. It's like they skip. Another. I saw him outside my house after work. Another. They don't like being seen together. Ariba paused. That line stuck. They don't like being seen together. Her mind raced. Danish had seen two. The footage showed two. But in person, they always appeared alone. Why? Why hide that? Unless it wasn't meant to be seen. Ariba felt a chill run down her spine. She kept digging. Hours passed. And slowly, a picture started forming. A pattern. It always started the same way. Late night. Quiet place. A sighting. Then repeated appearances. Then, something escalated. Following. Watching. Getting closer. And then, the person disappeared. No explanation. No closure. No trace. Just gone. Ariba's breathing became shallow. How many people? How many stories? How many disappearances? Had no answers. And how many of them were connected? She didn't want to believe it. But the evidence was there. This wasn't just one incident. This was happening everywhere. And it had been happening for years, maybe longer. Ariba closed her laptop slowly. Her reflection stared back at her from the dark screen. Tired, pale, afraid. But something else had changed. She wasn't just scared anymore. She understood something now. Something important. They don't choose randomly. That thought echoed in her mind. Because every story she read had one thing in common. The person noticed them first, not the other way around. It started with eye contact. Ariba's heart dropped. That moment, that first moment, when she looked at him, that's when it began. Not before. After. Like something was triggered. Like being seen was a mistake. Her hands trembled slightly. So what happens now? She whispered to herself. Silence answered. But deep down, she already knew. Because if the pattern was real, then there was only one outcome left. The final stage. And she hadn't reached it yet. Ariba stood up slowly. Her legs felt weak. She walked toward her window, hesitated, then pulled the curtain back. Nothing. Just the street. Quiet. Empty. Normal. She let out a breath. Maybe she still had time. Maybe she could stop this. Maybe she could break the pattern. But then, she noticed something. Small. Subtle. Easy to miss. Across the street. Near a streetlight. A figure. Standing still. Her heart stopped. No, she whispered. It wasn't moving. Just standing. Watching. Even from a distance. She could feel it. That same presence. That same stillness. That same wrongness. Ariba stepped back slowly. Her breathing quickened. Her mind screamed, "Don't look." But it was too late. Because the moment she noticed it, it tilted its head. Just slightly. Like it knew. Like it had been waiting for her to see it. Ariba stumbled backward. No, 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 no. Her hands shook violently now. She reached for her phone. Who do you even call? What do you even say? There's something outside watching me. Who would believe that? Danish tried. And now, he was gone. Her mind spiraled, until one thought cut through everything. The pattern. She remembered it. The next step. They get closer. Slowly. Unnaturally. Without being seen. Ariba forced herself to look again. The streetlight flickered. For just a second. And when it came back, the figure was closer. Much closer. Still not moving. Still silent. Still watching. Ariba's heart pounded violently. That's not possible, she whispered. But she already knew. It was, because she had seen it before. In the store. In the footage. In the stories. They don't move. They just appear. Closer. And closer. And closer. Until they're right there. Mini cliffhanger end asterisk. Ariba stepped back into the darkness of her room, her entire body trembling, because she realized something too late. Something the stories never clearly said, but always implied. They don't stop. And once they choose you, they don't leave. Not until you disappear. And outside, under the flickering streetlight, the figure smiled. And this time, there was another one standing beside it. There's a moment in every story like this where everything becomes clear. Not safer, not better, just clearer. Ariba stood frozen in her room. Two figures across the street, under a flickering light. They weren't hiding anymore. They weren't pretending. They wanted to be seen. Her breath came in short, uneven bursts. Her mind racing for logic, for reason, for anything that made sense. But there was none. Because this wasn't normal. This wasn't human. And deep down, she knew something terrifying. This was the final stage. The part where no one comes back. Her phone trembled in her hand. Not from vibration. From her own grip. She did the only thing she could think of. She started recording. If something happened. If she disappeared. If she became another forgotten post buried somewhere online. There would be proof. Or at least something. The camera flipped to front view. Her face appeared on the screen. Pale, shaking, eyes wide with fear. She hesitated, then whispered, "My name is Ariba." Her voice cracked. "I work at Walmart, and I think something is following me." She swallowed hard. "I don't know what it is. I don't know why it chose me." Her voice trembled more now. "But if anyone finds this..." She turned the camera slowly toward the window. "Look." The lens adjusted to the darkness. The streetlight flickered again. And there they were. Two figures, standing side by side, perfectly still, watching. Ariba zoomed in slightly, her hands shaking violently. "Do you see them?" she whispered. The camera struggled to focus. Static flickered briefly across the screen. But something was off. Very off. The figures weren't clear. Not blurry. Just wrong. Like the camera couldn't fully capture them. Like they weren't entirely there. Ariba's breathing grew faster. "They're not moving," she said. But even as she said it, she noticed something. One of them was closer. She hadn't seen it move, but it was closer, standing just outside the gate now. Her heart slammed in her chest. No, 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 no. She stumbled back, the camera shaking wildly. They're getting closer. Her voice broke into panic. They're not walking, they're just... The streetlight went out. Darkness swallowed everything. For a moment, there was nothing. Just silence. Heavy, oppressive. Then, the light flickered back on. Ariba slowly raised the camera again. And that's when she screamed, because they weren't across the street anymore. They were in her yard, standing just feet from her window, smiling, that same smile. Wide, unnatural, empty. Ariba dropped the phone for a second. The screen tilted wildly. You could hear her breathing. Fast, panicked, breaking. No, please, please stay away. Her voice echoed in the room. But the figures didn't react. They didn't move. They didn't blink. They just stood there, watching. The camera picked them up again as she grabbed it. Closer now. Too close. The glass between them felt meaningless. Like it didn't matter. Like it wouldn't stop them. Ariba backed away slowly. Her legs weak. Her hands trembling. I didn't do anything, she whispered. Silence answered. Then, the camera glitched. For just a second. A sharp distortion. And when it cleared, only one figure was outside. Ariba's breath caught. Where did the other one go? Her voice was barely audible now. The remaining figure tilted its head slightly. And then, a knock. Soft. Right behind her. Ariba froze. The camera slowly turned. Toward the door of her room. Another knock. Gentle. Deliberate. Her entire body went still. Because she lived alone. There was no one else inside. No one who should be knocking. Her breathing stopped. The camera inched closer to the door. Silence. Then, the handle moved. Slowly, turning. Ariba whispered one last thing. If you're watching this. Her voice shook uncontrollably. Don't look at them. The door creaked open. Darkness inside. No one visible. But something was there. The camera dropped. The screen went black. Static filled the audio. Then, nothing. Complete silence. #clapperboard epilogue. The video was found 3 days later. Uploaded automatically. No title. No description. No edits. Just raw footage. Police reports stated that Ariba was missing. No signs of forced entry. No struggle. No evidence. Her phone was recovered. Lying on the floor. Still recording. But what disturbed investigators the most was the final frame. Because just before the screen went completely black, there was a reflection. In the glass of the window. 2 figures. Standing inside the room. Behind her. Watching the camera. And smiling. # brain final thought narration outro. Some say these are just stories. Urban legends. Internet horror. But others believe that certain things exist in the spaces we ignore. Watching. Waiting. And once you notice them, once you truly see them, it's already too late. Because they've seen you too. And they don't forget.